Yeah, the struggle is real. I think because you don't realize that you're in a new place, you don't really know anybody. How do you meet people? There's cultural differences, there's cultural barriers. Do you just go and meet somebody in your community, or do you try?
What? Because Toronto has beautiful people. You won't know unless you put yourself out there.
We are back with CharisMaggie. We're going to talk about life hacks for you, the Canadian settler. Life hacks that expand just regular life to dating life. All these things. Miss Lady here is engaged. So congratulations, madam, on
Thank
being
you.
engaged. And that I know you did an episode on dating in Canada. And not only dating in Canada, because when you're in Newfoundland, I think that's when you made that video that it's
Yes.
like your dating life in Newfoundland failed, really.
Yes.
Like,
Why it's a fail?
yeah. So talk a little bit about that because yeah, the struggle is real. I think because you don't realize that you're in a new place, you don't really know anybody. How do you meet people? There's cultural differences, there's cultural barriers. Do you just go and meet somebody in your community, or do you try, outside of your community, that kind of a thing? Like, why was it a fail, you say? And you're engaged now, so obviously it worked out for you. Some tips. There we go. Why the fail, and then some tips. Dating
So
hacks.
the fail. So I'm gonna be like honest. So the only apps I can remember that were available when I was in Newfoundland that everyone was on was Tinder.
Okay.
I very quickly realized that Tinder was a hookup app, and I'm like, oh no, we can't be over here. Like that's not what we're on.
Swipe.
Like no. But what I noticed was when I went to Newfoundland, I think I was in my 20s. So I am going to school with people who are like fresh out of high school, 18, 19.
Okay.
So that was
That's
one
one problem.
factor.
That's a
Yes.
problem.
When we're talking about locally dating, that was one factor. If we're talking about international students now, I try to be very, very careful because some people can have family. I don't know. And I was not about to be that one to have anybody come to me as a woman. So those are some of the things. And then when I did date, it was like it seemed like someone I would just be able to have fun with, but there would not be anything coming out of this. Like it wouldn't be someone I could bring home, or they were not on the same level in terms of commitment that I was looking for. They're ready to just have fun. I'm like, okay, cool, I can have fun, but you're not gonna waste my time in the process. Like, do you see something? Because we can have fun, but we can also look towards the future of building something. So after about the first year, I pretty much stopped dating. I was like, me give up.
Not
It's
for
not
me.
working. I dated, and I'm somebody that you don't have to be from a specific background. It's about how we vibe, the conversations. Do we have similarities? Because I could date someone from a totally different culture and we have similarities based on, we can share stories about our moms and how they're just extra. Um, I've dated people of different religions before. Like I have a pretty good experience of going on dates with people vast backgrounds, but at the end of the day, I like to be realistic. So I would also look at, okay, this is great, it feels good now, but you kind of get to those uncomfortable conversations of, will I be able to be introduced to their parents? Would I be accepted? Would this be a thing that this person would be rejected by their family because they're dating me? All of these things you think about, because there are some cultures that they want them to stick within their culture of
Yes.
whoever they want to date. And then when we're talking about Black guys, I don't want to blast them, but I have to say it. A lot of them told me straight up, like, yeah, I didn't come all the way to Canada to date a Black girl.
Really?
You should have asked me.
Really? Okay.
So yeah, so it's all these things, and realistically, people don't like to admit it, but when it comes on to dating, Black women do have a bit more of a difficult time with dating. If we do have people who date us, usually you can tell what the intent is to like get into your pants instead of trying to get to know you and all the other things they might do for other women. So after I kind of peeped the environment and I said, you know what, I'm kind of wasting my time. I came here to study. My mom literally told me you can worry about dating when you're 24. So I stopped dating, and I kid you not, it was like when I turned 24 is when I started dating again, which is my now fiance. So it was a lot of, I would say, that time period that I took of not dating. I learned so much about myself. I
Yourself.
love, yeah, like
Indeed.
I learned what I would accept, what I would
Yes.
not accept.
Yes.
It
We
also
don't spend
gave,
enough time alone.
no, we don't. And it's like, I
Mm.
don't know if it was, I would say for me at one point why I wanted to date is because everyone was all booed up, and winter come and the place kind of cool, like a cuddle body. And it's like, you're all alone. So it's like that pressure of being booed up. But after a while, I was just spending time with my friends. I had other friends there who they weren't dating. So instead of prioritizing romantic relationships, I was able to prioritize friendships.
Yeah.
And those friendships, I was able to nurture them because now I don't have a guy that now that I'm still a bit immature and naive that I'm all caught up with, that I
Mm-hmm.
completely neglect my friendship. I was able to still nurture those friendships that when I did start dating seriously, I still didn't forget about my friends. The friendship was still there. We're still talking, we're still checking in on each other. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, but yeah, that was the experience. But I'm gonna be honest. So my now fiance, we actually went to school together when I was in Jamaica,
Okay.
and I knew that he was here in Toronto, so we kind of started talking before I moved to Toronto, but it just not going. It wasn't going to work because long distance. We're talking
Mm-hmm.
about different time zones, so I think at the time Newfoundland was 3 hours and a half ahead when it's the daylight change and whatever, all of
Mm-hmm.
that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a big gap in time difference. But I did date on the apps, the Bumble. Big up
Yes.
yourself, Bumble. Um, I did date for a while because at the time my fiance wasn't sure if he also wanted to start dating. I was like, all right, cool. I went on the dating apps and I dated. I got to meet people. But what I was encountering for the most part, men are like the flashy man them.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were some dates I went on where a majority of the guys were like that, or like they just like to talk about themselves, and I was like, okay, this not gonna work. And then there were others where I found that we had nothing to really talk about, and it was like the very stupid. What's your favorite color? Like my favorite color change every 5 business days. That not gonna matter to you right now, baby love.
I love that.
But intentional, like looking at what I wanted, and it was just having a conversation of, sometimes I think women will also have to just put themselves out there.
Mm-hmm.
I made it clear, I'm like, me like you, me no say you like me, you know what's up.
That's straight up. Just
And
cut the
yeah,
straight to the
like
chase. Right?
just,
Don't beat around the bush.
I'm like, if you want to try, I know that, but I am a simple girl.
Mm-hmm.
I just require three things: love, support, and respect. Don't have
Mm-hmm.
me out here looking like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what helped us too is that we both came from similar cultural backgrounds. Me growing up in Jamaica helped a lot as well. So jokes and all of that, we got each other.
Yeah.
I also would say one thing that I experienced that was difficult in dating is there would be people that if they knew that I had a Haitian background, they would say the dumbest things, and that just turned me off. And it was like that's the last time we would speak.
Mm-hmm.
So it was little stuff like it was very important to me that whoever I would end up with is respectful of my culture and my parents because they're everything to me. And now we're here because Toronto has beautiful people. You won't know unless you put yourself out there, and you don't have to just go on the apps. I joked a bit to people like when I made my videos about summer events to attend. Some of them I would start and saying, if you're not going to blah blah to meet your future husband and wife, I don't know what you're, because it's true. You can literally go to some of these events and meet the love of your life. But if you stay home
You stay home.
and you're just watching Netflix and saying the apps are ghetto, what you expect? You're on the apps where
Mm-hmm.
everyone's fake and not being themselves. Go out and meet people in real time.
Yeah.
Go to things that you have similar likes. Maybe it's a dance class, maybe it's an art workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Find people, reading club. There are things like that. People do that still.
There are events. There are things you can go and do. Go dancing, go swing dancing, go to a paint party, something. There you go. Dating as an immigrant 101, as told by
Amen.
CharisMaggie. And we're going to
Mhm.
talk about a little bit of financial tips for new
Woo.
immigrants. If you want to give like top 2 financial tips for Canadian immigrants?
Watch your own money and how you spend it. Not what Tom, Dick, and Harry, Jill, and Jake, or whoever is doing, because you don't know what their financial situation is like. So, if you can only afford to eat out once a week, don't make nobody pressure you for go brunch 2 times for the week, and then you're there eating ramen for the rest of the week. Yes, that's very important. Also, don't be afraid to say no. That's not within my budget. Like, I think this is the fair. People who have friend groups, they sometimes feel that if they're not
Judgy.
straight up, that their friends might. If you have friends that judge you because you're trying to prioritize smart financial spending,
Maybe they're not your friends. Maybe
yeah,
you
you need friends. Yeah, because no one should be judged and feeling ridiculed for their financial decisions. We are all at different places in our life. Maybe you have different jobs. Realistically, different jobs in the city also pay differently. So you have to just think about what works for you. And the second thing, in the same way I told you in the entrepreneurship episode, to know how business works in Canada, know how finances work in Canada. So know about credit cards, how they work, know about investment portfolios, how that works, all of the benefits that you can leverage while you're here, even as a student. Look into them. So TFSAs, that's the first I recommend for people to look into. Don't relay business too much about RSVP on
RRSP.
Hear me about RSVP.
Registered Retirement Savings Plan. TFSA, tax-free savings account.
Yes,
there will be an episode about that one day. Don't worry.
So the TFSA, like no matter where you are in your like immigration journey, look into that one first, because usually the other one, the retirement one, it makes more sense when you start working.
And I feel like I don't know that international students have the luxury of a TFSA, but once you become a permanent resident, you have an account it's basically tax-free savings. So you can earn interest and not have to pay tax on the interest, which is what you'd have to pay on a regular savings account.
Exactly. So stuff like that, just know based on your status, know what's afforded to you, start leveraging them as soon as possible. And then it's like you're playing a video game. As you level up, you go to the next level. You have a friend who probably don't reach level 10, just ask them. Well, you get me. So yeah, ask questions, just be aware, and so that you don't have to get ready. You will always be ready.
I love the first point that you made about don't watch other people money and how them spend their money. I feel like one of the tricky things, I think it's the same in America, but I'm going to speak to Canada specifically. You don't know people's social status or their financial status based on the house and living or the car them drive. Everybody car new. That don't mean them own it.
Exactly. We're on a credit system. Come on, guys. They could just have it on the credit card. You don't know.
I remember the first time I went to buy a new car, right? They didn't even tell me the price of the car. You know what I'm telling me? The monthly payment. They said, as long as you can afford the monthly payment, you're good. And sometimes that trick you. So like when they pencil it out for me on a piece of paper and them say yes, I was like, what like, and at that time culturally, like, no, I don't want to put my signature on that just because you're telling me it's $300 or $400 a month or whatever. Like, how much does the car cost? Like,
what is the fine print? Let me know if you know actually give me the monthly range for true, or is that the one with the interest? Because if I can buy it up front, I will buy it up front.
Exactly, right? But it's a credit system. All of the houses look the same. You can't walk and see unless they're homeless. That's the only separation. Is homeless and everybody else, kind of a thing where it's hard. So you can't watch how people spend their money. Like she say, you have to say no to some things. They say that's not outside of the budget. All these things. And number one thing, have a budget.
Yes.
Have a budget. We have a cost of living series, guys, to help you to prepare. You spoke about the job hunting a little bit and networking, so we don't really touch on that. But you have a food channel. Tell me about your food, like you said, of course, certain things, certain products come from Jamaica. They are branded the same, but things don't taste the
The
same.
same.
Talk about just the food culture, especially that you came from Newfoundland. So we already know that story, but you're here in Toronto and there's so much variety, so much different types of food that you have tasted. How is that experience for you, and how does that get compared to the authentic Jamaican food?
It's interesting. So what happened is I kind of got bored one summer with what I was creating content wise. And I always thought to myself, during the pandemic, I was watching all these food series that talked about people traveling the world, they're eating all these amazing food. And I'm like, but I'm here in Toronto where I can literally go to 5 different countries without leaving the
Mm-hmm.
province. I need
Multicultural.
to, yeah, like I'm like, I need to tap into this. I already talk about, culture on a whole on my platform. That's the main thing. But food was really something that I was like, I live in a multicultural household too, where I was eating Guyanese food, Haitian food, Jamaican food. And then when we moved to Belize, I was eating Belizean food too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that curiosity and wanting to share with people, getting people to think outside of the box in trying other foods,
Yes.
especially us immigrants. We are guilty of not really
Sticking to
wanting to
yourself.
experiment. We just stick
Mm-hmm.
to what we know and then we
Mm-hmm.
complain about the food not taste like back home. My
Mm-hmm.
thing is, it's never going to taste like back home, and I've accepted that because
Mm-hmm.
I know
And it's
that
okay.
it's okay.
It's
Like we
different.
have to look at it. Everything is different from the chicken, how the chicken is raised and everything. It is going to be different from how we do it back home for it to have that difference in taste. So there's some grace that needs to be offered sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that when we go
Mm-hmm.
to restaurants and we're saying, oh, it not tastes like back home. Well, yeah, you're not back home, so it's
It's
not gonna
different.
really, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are some places that have managed to, I would hear people saying like, yeah, like it tastes like authentic food from back home. They have very special cases for that. Sometimes it will incorporate them getting ingredients sourced directly from home as well to get that real feel and taste.
Of course.
But this series is really to just lift up cuisine in Toronto and share restaurants that represent different parts of the world that people can try out for themselves. And that was a little experiment that I did. And then it turned into me really full blown, like going into exploring it. So when all the food events came out this summer, I basically was updating y'all on the socials, letting
I
you know
saw.
the weekends, what
Mm-hmm.
event is going on, if
Mm-hmm.
it's free, if you have to pay to go in. I had a newsletter accompanying it as well. So it's really to just get people out and about and to let them know there are things to do in the summer because we know realistically when winter comes, people are not really going out. So while we have the good weather, go enjoy
Go
yourself.
outside.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
easier to go to food events if you're not someone who like goes to networking event for the sake of work or entrepreneurship or whatever. For social reasons, it's good to meet other people at these events. So yeah.
Perfect. So you have a number of platforms, right? And people can follow you on and all these wonderful things. So if you want to list them out for me.
Right, the easiest place I would say Instagram, CharisMaggie TV. So that's CharisMaggie TV.
Mm-hmm.
On there, you'll be able to see other platforms that I'm linked to. For example, my podcast and my food page. You can see it in my bio. So that's the easiest place. And CharisMaggie TV is my name across other social medias, including YouTube. I have a YouTube channel and TikTok as well. So if you're always looking for, geeking out about culture, specifically Creole languages and ethnic cuisine, and you want to know a bit about entrepreneurship in Canada, just forward over CharisMaggie TV. I got you.
There you go. Perfect. I had a good time at talking with you and getting to
Me
know you and
too.
learning you. And thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for taking the time out. Guys, follow her over on Instagram, where she said, and on her YouTube channel. Everything will be linked below, above, wherever you're watching this episode right now. Remember to subscribe for more helpful videos on Canadian immigration, more immigrant stories. This video is part of our immigration stories series where we interview a new immigrant each month. Maggie will be our December feature. So every Sunday in December, we're going to hear Maggie's story. This is the last episode here.
Wow.
So if this is the first one you're watching, please go watch episode 1, 2, and 3. Binge watch them. Have a happy Christmas, because then it's probably Christmas by the time you're watching this, or New Year. Thank you so much for watching. As always, thank you for tuning in. Share this video. Hit the thumbs up button. Let YouTube know that it's worth watching. And we'll see you. Well, I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for having me.